Hello and welcome to the Science Taco, where we discuss everything from science to tacos. I'm your host Ali, and today we'll be discussing a topic that most people are genuinely aware of, but not entirely. The topic today is the subject of the declining bee population. Now, most people know that the bee population is in danger. However, they don't know that the main cause of this decline is one single toxic chemical. I'm talking about an insecticide that is capable of making a bee forget how to fly. An insecticide that is so potent it can destroy a bee's ability to pollinate or even develop. You might ask, how come this insecticide isn't banned yet if we know it can harm bees? Well, you see, the problem is that although the effects of these insecticides are scientifically proven, the research is not compelling enough to make companies stop using them. The type of insecticide that I'm talking about are called neonicotinoid insecticides. Now, I know that the name may seem absurd at first, but if you notice, it includes the word nicotine in it. Now, nicotine is not just what kids are vaping these days, but instead there's a whole set of nicotinic receptors in our bodies that control our nerve-muscle interactions. More simply put, they're a crucial part of our physiology and also in bees as well. Let's back up and talk more about the role of insecticides and why we can't stop using them. Insecticides are actually very crucial as they preserve about a fifth of the crop yield. But more importantly, pollinators, including bees, are responsible for 35% of the world's food crop production. Insecticides can be replaced, bees cannot. Now, I think that's why this topic is so important right now, because the sooner agricultural companies stop using neonicotinoid insecticides, the sooner we can stop the declining bee population. Now let's dig deeper into the current state of the research that's being done on this topic. So as of now, most research agrees that these neonicotinoid insecticides are indeed some way harmful. It is known that these insecticides block those nicotinic receptors we talked about, causing paralysis and even death of the bees in large doses. In fact, a study done by researcher Johannes Fischer showed that the blockage of these receptors affects a bee's navigational abilities. These researchers track the bees using a radar to examine their movement and see if they can navigate their way back to the beehive. And every single time, the bees did indeed take a random and inefficient route to get back to the beehive. They didn't take their original, normal, planned route. So if a bee can't even fly properly and find its way around nature, how is it supposed to pollinate plants? So research like this proves there is indeed a direct correlation between these insecticides and the bee's ability to function. Other studies even use video cameras to prove this, and the cameras showed irregular movement by the bees caused by the insecticide. So what more do you need? If video cameras are showing that these bees are moving in really weird, irregular ways after taking these neonicotinoids, I feel like the evidence just proves itself there. And so what even is a bee without its ability to fly? It's pretty interesting stuff. Now it gets even worse. A study done by researcher Penelope Whitehorn showed that these insecticides affect the bee's ability to develop and even grow. So on average, bees were about 12% smaller when given low amounts of neonicotinoid insecticides compared to the control group in the study, which did not receive the neonicotinoids. And they also gained much less overall weight, so their overall growth and development was just really impaired. So not only did they not develop properly, the bees that were given in the insecticide also produced 85% fewer queen bees. So queen bees, in case you didn't know, are the mother of all the bees in the beehive and are selected to be the other bees. They're selected by the other worker bees to be fed, to be sexually mature, and they're a crucial part of the bee colony. And without them, the bee colony just collapses. So that should just show on its own how important these how these neonicotinoids are just taking away from the bees' most important aspects of their life and their nature. So we know that these insecticides have the potential to destroy a bee's ability to fly, the ability to grow, and their ability to function in their colonies. No wonder countries like France and Germany have actually banned them. They are obviously dangerous to bees and their surrounding environment. These insecticides are water soluble and they can easily spread to other environments and affect other organisms as well. In fact, a single corn kernel that is contaminated with neonicotinoids can be enough to just completely destroy a bird's reproductive ability. The effects of these insecticides on humans is also currently being studied, and not much is known about it at all. So, we don't really know anything about how these insecticides, affect humans. So that's another reason why France and Germany, they actually banned them. That's another reason why they banned them, which is pretty insane to me, how countries like France and Germany have banned these insecticides, and the United States is just not doing much about it. So that's another thing to think about. Now, you may think that the research I mentioned is enough to make the US also ban these insecticides, but there are some flaws in the research right now. So the main problem with the current research is that the dose of the neonicotinoid insecticides that the bees are given is not technically field accurate, which means they aren't realistic doses. So in nature, it's really hard to predict the actual amount of neonicotinoid or insecticide that these bees will be exposed to, which makes most research too extreme. However, this doesn't discount the entire research, as there's obviously a clear distinction present, and most research does use low amounts of these insecticides. But if researchers can improve on that aspect, then the research will just be even more compelling, and it's more likely that the government will take action if the research is completely conclusive and just compelling to its greatest extent. So it's just a side note, I'm a neuroscience student myself, and I pretty much just study the human brain. And so yeah, that's fascinating, human brain, that's awesome, cool stuff, right? And it's really important, right? It's completely relevant to us. But just knowing that even the brain of bees can be infected in ways that can ruin their ability to just do regular functionings like flying, navigating, that's just kind of mind-boggling to me. We spend so much effort and time and money into research of the human brain, and I personally believe that if we just put a little bit of that effort into what these insecticides are doing to the brain of bees, I feel like it's going to be the first step in securing the future of our nature, because people know that bees are important, but it doesn't really show when there's not really much being done about situations like this. And it's just it's crazy how other countries like France and Germany are banning these insecticides because there is a possibility for harm, but that's not convincing enough for the United States. The United States, I feel like they just need the research to be perfect, which, again, there is reasons for that, but at the same time, I feel like it's coming at a big expense to the bees. Anyways, I'm not sure if others think the same thing, but it's just crazy in my opinion how the brain of bees are just so complex, and they have their own unique physiology that can be affected by chemicals that us humans think are harmless. Now, moving forward, I really do hope that awareness of this issue spreads, and that the United States government actually takes measures to fix this issue. Even if the United States doesn't completely ban neonicotinoids, I know other countries will. So sooner or later, the United States will see the harm that this is causing and hopefully do the same. And so just keep your eye out for it on the news. I really do think this is a topic that's going to be brought up again sooner than later. So yeah, now when you hear on the news or when someone mentions the declining bee population, you know one of the reasons why. I hope this spreads some awareness on the topic, and I hope it brought some light to the issue. And again, we all know why bees are important, so this topic doesn't really need much justification, but I just hope that you learned a thing or two about the dying bee population. Thank you for tuning in to the first episode of the Science Taco. Stay tuned for episode 2. That'll be all. Thank you.